Crypto Baby asks, how are the comic covers selected for each rarity? Does Marvel select them, or is it a joint decision with VeVe?
That all comes from Marvel. So basically, the comics are broken down into certain percentages, as an X% common, X% uncommon, and so on. But we work very closely with Marvel, on a weekly, if not daily basis, to establish the rarities, the cover types. So yeah, Marvel are a very, very involved partner, which we love, and they provide a lot of sort of good guidance on how we should be distributing these rarities, and that's why you see the rarities of the comics are quite different from the collectibles, where with the comics, the majority of them are common, so at least you can get in there and read it, if you're lucky enough to get one. But then obviously, you have that 1 in X chance of getting one of the sort of rarer covers. So yes, TLDR, basically that information comes from Marvel.
Yeah. And just kind of further to that, we have a lot of the classic comics and some of the more modern comics. So that's why you see a reason why you see more variation a lot of times in some of the modern comics is because there's actually more variant covers that exist in the physical world in those later years. So
that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, comics these days do come out with variant covers. So yeah, I think I touched last time that we have two categories of comics coming out from Marvel. One is Marvel, I think it's called Marvel Classics, which is basically anything before, I think it's 1990. So that's your Marvel #1s, your What If #1. And as you mentioned, Alex, back then there wasn't this huge big comic industry, so often there aren't as many variant covers to go around for those particular issues. However, as always, we're monitoring the feedback from the community, and we discuss that with Marvel very in depth, and that's why you've seen over the last few drops, or probably over the past couple of weeks, there is some further variation even in the classic comics. So it's and that's something that we can expect to continue moving forward.
Awesome. Okay, I think we'll bring up some people on stage here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, please.
We've got a couple already.
Yeah, awesome. Please do limit your question or limit yourself to one question so we can try to move through as many people as possible. I know that a lot of people are waiting and have requested. I see a large queue here. So we want to try to get through as many people as possible between here and the Twitter submitted questions. So thank you very much. With that, Reese, who do we have?
Yes, let's throw to Crypto Kaki. Welcome, brother.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all bringing me up. Mine isn't so much a question on AMA. Well, I guess it is. So on the collectibles, and it's a reason why I'm asking this question. On the collectibles, you said that you guys on y'all end can see the transaction history. And this was like a few AMAs ago, where you were saying, if someone, let's say a celebrity, had owned a collectible and he traded it, and we would be able to see and verify that person owned that collectible, and that could increase the value in it. Is there a certain limit as to how many names can be on that particular collectible? As far as keeping track, is there like a 10 name limit, or is that seen, or will that be displayed if we wanted to dig far enough to see if it had been exchanged through 20, 30 people?
Yeah, great question. I was actually talking about this morning with Trevor, who's holding all of his comics. Trevor, if you're listening, he thinks everyone's going to want to buy his comics because Trevor owns them.
We all know this is Team Reese, just so we're clear.
Yeah, right, yeah. But no, to answer your question, there won't be any limitation. Really, the records will basically show everything. And obviously, we anticipate that, these comics, well, I mean, not anticipate, they are going to last, for many, many years into the future. And there will always be a historical record of ownership with no limits.
Awesome. So that's perfect. So we know what your favorite collectible is, right? So I was thinking on because VeVe has changed and will continue to change a lot of people's lives. And it's hard to kind of give back to the people that are kind of controlling it. And because y'all got access to a lot up there. So I was sitting back thinking, what can I do for the team, for you guys, for coming down and doing this AMA? So I thought that what I want to do, I know your favorite collectible is a Todd McFarlane. So what I'm going to try and do, and since we got a great showing in here, at some point I'm going to figure out and put a post out on people that want to sign this NFT. So I'm going to donate one of my personal Todd from the Todd Father. I'm going to donate, and we're going to pass it around the community and get as many signatures as we can on the honor system, and end up gifting it to you, Dan. We're going to do the same thing for Reese, the same thing for Alex, and the same thing for David. So you guys think about what collectible you would like signed by all of us, and we'll definitely make it happen.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
In fact, I just realized that I've changed my my favorite now as a Donnie.
It's the Donnie.
Donnie.
All right. I'll liquidate my account, bro.
So I really appreciate that, man. Yeah,
for sure.
You're an OG from way back, so always loved your support.
Appreciate it.
You're
man.
also a brave man for relying on the honor system.
Yeah, no, it's a great community, man. There's you're gonna have to KYC for sure.
Right on.
All right,
thanks,
man.
Khaki.
I'm done. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Oh, one more thing. If you do see someone named Sean, definitely bring him up. We was in community spaces and was discussing something earlier. He has a disability, and we wouldn't mind him bringing, speaking directly with y'all. Only 50.
I think Donkey submitted that question via Twitter.
Appreciate it.
I think Donkey submitted that question via Twitter.
He did, exactly.
We can address that now. Yeah. So I guess
Awesome.
so. The question is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
A visually impaired question. A Twitter friend that has very poor eyesight made the mistake of selling 2 secret rares this week at about 100x below the desired price because of poor vision. He couldn't see the decimal point. Could there be an extra confirm screen or accessibility options added in the future?
Yes, I think what we'll do is look to add more accessibility features in there. There already is kind of 2 confirmation steps, when listing a collectible or a comic, where, first step you enter in all the details, and then it pops up another confirmation screen before you actually list it. So we probably won't add a 3rd one in there because it might become a bit cumbersome. But absolutely, point taken on the the readability side of things. So let me make a note of that and see what we can do on that front.
And thanks, guys, for bringing that up. That is, I was in one of those spaces where Sean was speaking, and I love to hear the community rallying behind somebody who really wants to be part of this family. And, shout out to all you guys, for sure.
Yeah, always. Big shout out to the fam. And just so people know, when I'm bringing people up on stage, I'm trying to get a nice mix of, obviously, OGs. Love to hear your questions and feedback, but also to give anyone that might be new to the community a bit of time to have their voice heard as well. So on that note, Alex, do you have another pre-submitted question, or do we want to?
Yeah, I could do one more. So we'll go, since we're into the app features. Let's go with JX Legacy asking, can you make it where users can switch between a light and dark mode in the app? For all you dark-hearted people out there that love everything in dark mode.
Yeah.
Yes, and as if anyone knows any developers, they'll know that their entire desktop is always in dark mode for those 3 a.m. coding sessions. No one likes a bright white screen at that time of the morning. Now, it is something that we will address at some point, but it does require quite a lot of updating on the front end of the app. So it'll more than likely happen when we go through and make some significant upgrades to the UI in the mobile app. And at that point, we can do a dark mode and a light mode. Although in saying that, I thought I might have seen some screenshots with with the colors inverted. So that there might be a way to do it. I'll have a bit of a dig in and maybe ask the developers if there's some way to sort of hack the system at the moment. But
on the device level.
Yeah, well, maybe not device level.
Well, no, I mean by accessibility settings or just like turning your brightness.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, there might be something like that, but potentially limited to device or OS. So let me look into that, and I will absolutely include the light dark feature in our next major UI update.
Nice.
All right,
that answers that. All right, we might go to a couple from the floor, and then we'll come back to some of these. So, Mr. Ryan Romantech, I believe you are up and waiting. I don't know how your phone still works with all those showrooms, but
hello. My hands are sweating more right now than they do on a drop day. So nervous. Thank you guys for so much. Everything you guys do, I'm so addicted to creating these showrooms. My question real quick was to the showroom version 2.0. Are we going to still be able to create like entire showrooms outside of the showroom, or are we only limited to building inside the new showroom?
Yeah, great question, Ryan. Initially, we were going to limit it, but then, really looking at the amazing creations that people do, we felt that it would put too many restrictions on that creativity. So you can anticipate that the new version 2 showroom will basically function in the same way as the current one, but will just obviously look a little bit better. And for those of you who have seen some of the early renders or video that we've put out on Showroom V2, you'll notice that you can walk out onto a balcony. Now, we have opened up a small gap in one of the railings, like a barrier. It's like an invisible barrier gap. So you will be able to walk out into the big sort of skybox area and continue to place your collectibles out there at 50 times the size of the showroom, if that is your desire. But in addition to that, when Showroom V2 does roll out, there will be the second type of showroom, which is called an empty space. And that effectively has all the same functionality as the showrooms now, except there is no showroom. So that means that you basically have a blank canvas in which you can basically create from scratch. So there will be that option as well for users who want to get a little bit more creative outside of that that showroom space. And the other reason for creating these empty spaces is that we obviously still have the accessories feature in development, where for example, in this empty space showroom, you might be able to add things like, urban objects, like, dumpsters, or maybe old buildings, or perhaps you want to add some rocks and some trees. And then you can place all of your collectibles in these kind of digital dioramas, so to speak. So I'm very excited to see, to have that one come out, because I think we're going to see, another level of creativity from amazing showroom creators like you, Brian.
Wow, that is so awesome to hear. Thank you so much.
Just keep those showrooms coming, mate. They keep us working.
Will do.
Appreciate it. Thanks, bud. We might throw to Cam Jermaine next, if you would like to jump in, and then maybe to Droy.
Thanks, guys, for taking it. So I'm kind of new to VeVe, so this might be a dumb question, but bear with me. So basically, for a comic book drop, if I get it right, I get edition number 1,000. Does that mean I was the 1,000th, buyer, and I just clicked buy too slow, or is that just completely randomized? Realize that could be a bad question, but just curious.
No, great question. There's no dumb questions in here. The edition numbers are completely randomized. Back in the early days, they were sequential. So if you were first in, you would get the lower mints. But again, after listening to a lot of feedback from the community, we decided to randomize the mint. So you could be the 30,000th person to get a comic, and you still could potentially get a sub 1,000 So yeah, they're completely randomized.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys being so transparent about everything. You guys are great.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Ken.
Really appreciate it. Mr. Droy, if you are up here and would like to join the conversation.
Yeah, really great. Guys, at first, really my respect. You're one of the blockchain companies that is making a difference, especially in communication and what you are doing. So at first most, my respect to you. It's been a great experience from the start on. And being so involved with the community. My question, because we have such a great community and people around us, I'm hosting the Dutch Telegram room, but sometimes it's a necessity to use Telegram. Is there any option in the near future that we can use, for example, a comment box on a other user profile or a comment box on my own profile that somebody can leave a message behind, right? So that we can enable more communication across the great community that we have.
Yes, absolutely. Initially, our approach was that we didn't want to build in any messaging because there are obviously a significant amount of tools out there, whether it's Discord or Telegram. But there has been an overwhelming number of requests from the community for some form of messaging within the app. That would include things like the ability to add friends, and you could then message those friends. Or, for example, if someone had a listing in the market, you might be able to say, you know, haha, you're dreaming. I'm never going to pay that price, but I'll offer you this. So there will be a deeper level of inter-fan communication in the app coming in the future.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Do you want to, while you're here, Droy, do you want to just share the URL of your Telegram group in case any of our Dutch community want to join?
It's thank you, Reese. It's ECOMI Netherlands. We host a little group of really true OMI fans and Dutch people. So we're always willing to help and asking questions of the community or translate it into Dutch. You can find us or text me DRoy, same as my name here, on Telegram, and I will guide you guys on. Perfect. So thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you very much. We are definitely amassing quite a number of language groups, so it's good to be able to point people to these resources, and thank you for obviously managing that as well. Alex, we might throw to a couple more pre-submitted questions.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then we'll come back to
This question came from a few people, and it was actually a perfect segue. Quite a different number of language groups. What are the plans, or what's the timeline for potential language, multi-language support in the app?
Yeah, I know that is a highly requested feature. I don't have a timeline on that at the moment. We've got a number of massive projects on at the moment, you know, such as Gem to Fiat, the immutable migration, and a whole bunch of other things. However, in saying that, the app has been designed with language files. So when we do reach that point, it is really just a matter of getting the translation done and then giving the user the option in their settings to choose what language they want. However, the other sort of, I won't really say blocker, but it just adds another extra step into our development process as well, that whenever we roll out a new feature, we'll then have to get everything translated. And at the moment, we're developing at quite a rapid rate, just to make sure that, you know, the offering that we put out there is in line with what the community wants. So now that that's sort of starting to become a little bit more under control, you know, we're not sort of, you know, having to rush out these updates every week. We'll be putting that back on the radar. So just leave that one with me. Apologies, it hasn't rolled out yet, but I know it is a much requested feature.
It's okay. I'll continue to occasionally fumble my way through some Spanish tweets in the future.
You'll probably be fluent by the end of the year, Alex.
De nada, familia. Okay, well, let's move on to Ty asks, does the market open for everybody at the same time on drop days? It seems like I've lost the leading bid in auctions because I've been locked out while the clock kept ticking and others had access.
The market basically just is either open or the market is either closed. So there is no staggering of who can come in and who can get it. I mean, there could be a small delay, as the market comes back online, and that sort of propagates around the world. But really, from the back end point of view or the development point of view, it's really just an on-off switch. So there's no special treatment for anyone. And as I've mentioned previously, the market coming on and offline is purely based on drop volume. So something sells out in 5 seconds, and then the load on the service starts to diminish, say 10 minutes after that, then the market will automatically come online. But sometimes, that the server load might be, very high for say 30 minutes or 40 minutes after the drop. So it's the market coming online is very much dictated by that.
Cool. And a follow-up to that, have we considered maybe pausing auction end times while the market is down?
They actually are paused.
Okay.
when the market is down. I believe that for the auctions are extended for the period of time that the market is offline. Obviously, it would be a little bit unfair if your auction finished while the market was closed. So I'm almost certain that feature's in place.
Okay, great. I've had a few questions about that in the past, so it's good to know that maybe people just need to hard refresh the app or whatever the case it may be. One last one from me for now, and then we'll go back to the stage. I found this one really interesting, mainly because I'm interested in it myself. So consider this a selfish cosign. Squirkle Kid asks, would you ever sell digital animation cells, for instance, like the old hand-drawn production cells, but with new animated movies or shows? You could have a blind box for a movie where every frame is a kind of a 1/1 NFT. Buyers would get a unique NFT, and then you sell like 100,000 plus. Collectors can buy their favorite moment. So essentially, art, 2D art, but it's an animation cell, but you own that particular cell, or I'm sure that can be translated into any number of use cases. But I thought that was an interesting case.
Yeah, and that is a great idea. Even in the physical world of collecting, in fact, I'm almost certain that I've seen like 1,000 or 5,000 film sales down at David's house. So I know it is something that is very, very collectible. Now, the great thing about the VeVe platform is, really we can roll out whatever type of collectible digital asset that we want to or need to. As you guys know, we started off with the 3D collectibles. Now we've moved into comics. There will be, one-of-one artworks coming at some point in the future. And it could be a very natural progression with some of the licensors that we're working with, that we could move into, maybe 100,000 film cells, with each one being a one-of-one. No confirmation on that, but as it is a very desirable collectible item in the physical world, I would certainly hope that we'd see something like that in the future.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. Reese, back to the stage.
Perfect. We'll throw back to the floor. And just for anybody who may have recently joined us, we are sort of switching between some pre-submitted questions and questions from the floor. And I will try to bring up a good mix of some of our OGs and some people that I don't recognize, just so that everybody has a voice. But on that note, Kay, welcome to the stage. What is this week's conspiracy, good sir?
Hi, Reese, Dan, everyone. Yeah, so conspiracy theories. Well, not so much conspiracy, but I did catch Dan on the Let's Do Lunch AMA quite recently, so that was quite nice. Because Dan managed to answer half my questions.
Fantastic.
The half that he didn't answer was when Pokemon, but we can park that for now. But yeah, the question that I had asked on that one was with regards to the VeVe-verse and gamification, and specifically on the topic of will the games offer some kind of OMI burn? And then Dan's face was just like, absolutely. That's literally all I remember. And then everyone just got super hyped after that. So yeah, just following on from that, I know that you guys have the OMI utility article coming out. I was just wondering if you could provide any sort of additional information in terms of what kind of, I guess, what could possibly contribute to more OMI burn with regards to the gaming side, or is the burn going to be significant in comparison to like the secondary market burn? Just any sort of information regarding it, if you had anything else.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm surprised there's no conspiracy theories this week. That's the first. So yeah, now just to touch on the gamification. So I think the first thing that I'd like to just reiterate is that ultimately the VeVeVerse will start off as a social area, and within that, basically, you will have your own home, which is a hugely extended version of the showrooms as you have now, with a lot more tools in there for you to place objects, adjust lighting. You can add different levels, different rooms, and so it's going to be more around that. And then there will be these sort of larger centralized areas within the VeVeVerse, like, I don't know, VeVe City or whatever we call it, where you'll be able to go and do social things with the community. Now, when it comes to the gamification, ultimately we do want to add that in there. I mean, my dream is that part of the VeVeVerse, you go over to the VeVe racetrack, and then you can bust out your Ecto One or your DeLorean, and then you can race around there, and there'll be sort of like a leaderboard and that type of thing. I can hear in my mind Trevor rolling his eyes already. But when it comes to gamification, it can be quite complex. I mean, even the simplest game, there can be a lot of mechanics around it. So I don't want to say or promise that there is going to be massive gamification, especially right at the beginning. But obviously, as the VeVeVerse evolves, in the same way that the app does, we know gamification to some degree is very high on people's list, and it's a huge driver or retention tool to bring people back into the VeVeVerse. So it will happen, but just don't expect massive gamification to come out kind of on day one. The VeVeVerse is going to be rolled out in different sections. Starting off with your really what is kind of like a showroom V3, or basically the showroom on steroids. And then from there, we'll begin to open up other areas of the VeVeVerse that people can enter into. Now, when it comes to the OMI burn, so as I mentioned earlier, really anything within the VeVeVerse that the company doesn't have to pay royalties, or all of those other kind of costs that the company has to bear, those items will be available for sale in OMI. So like land, that could be avatars which maybe have non-branded items, and a whole range of other things. So the idea really is to, as we start to implement this OMI utility, it is primarily about burning. So if you were to buy something through the VeVeVerse or buy some land, that OMI is not going to come back to the company. It's going straight to the burn wallet and out of existence. So yeah, that's all I'll say on the topic for now, and there'll be some more information in the article that we'll release shortly.
Oh wow, yeah, that's fantastic. That was a lot more than what I was expecting. But yeah, awesome. So just one quick thing. Someone asked a question about accessibility earlier. I know on Ascendex and certain exchanges, if you're making a spot market purchase, either I think like greater than 5% or less than 5% of like what the current market value is, you get a prompt that says, this is above or below 5%. Are you sure you want to proceed? Maybe in VeVe, if we could have like either the last sold price or the median price, the price that you're listing at is like maybe 20% above or below either way. It might just give you a prompt saying, your price is like 20% higher or greater than whether the median price or last sold price is. Do you want to proceed? Something simple like that, I think, would be quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that note, so there are two features coming back into the app, hopefully very soon. One will be when you're looking at a collectible, whether you own it or whether you're looking at it in the market, it will display the floor price on the collectible view screen. And if you own that collectible, it will also show the last price that you paid. And yeah, you touch on a good point, Kay, that I see some very random purchases go through the market. For example, like a very high mint common going for like 10,000. I'm sure there's something suspect going on there. But yeah, and that we will be introducing something like that. Some indication if you're selling it too low or selling it too high. That was actually the whole purpose of there is a feature in the app now called appraisal. Unfortunately, that feature is completely broken and has always been broken. So yes, so we did have good intentions with that one for the exact reason that you bring up. So the user has an understanding of, is this Marvel #1 worth 15 grand or is it worth 1.5 grand? So yes, definitely on the roadmap.
Awesome, thank you.